What's up, and welcome back to the Kinda Funny Gamescast for Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. Of course, I am your host, Tim Geddes. I am wearing a super awesome jacket in support of Nick Scarpino in his Nuzlocke challenge. How do you feel about this, Bless?
I like it. I like how blue it is.
It's very blue.
It's extremely
very
blue.
We're selling the jacket in red and blue.
Oh,
two versions. You know
two
what I
very
mean?
important colors.
Sometimes you think it through.
It's a thinker.
Yep.
It's a thinker.
So
every
I'm gonna
time.
get the red one.
Different images on each one.
Yeah, Johnny Ace is on the other
On
one.
the red,
Ace man.
this one just has Nick.
I hate him.
You know, classic Nick, we like to call it. You know, I'm Tim
We should
Geddes.
buy a bunch and give it to all his comedian friends, but not tell them.
Oh, that's a good one.
So they all just
that's a good one.
They all just show up.
That's
in
a
this little
good
windbreaker.
one.
Joining me today is Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Tim.
Greg Miller.
Good day, Tim.
And Roger Picorni.
Good day, Tim.
This is the Kinda Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, please support us with the Kinda Funny membership on Patreon, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. It gets you the show's ad-free and a daily exclusive Greg Way. Today's is all about Greg flying to the East Coast to be in a movie.
That's right,
You're gonna
16
be in a
minutes.
movie.
I'm going to be in a movie. I have a script. I have things I highlighted everything.
You have to act.
Did I memorize?
You have to say things.
I'm going to say
you have
things,
to do
look
things.
bewildered. You know how it is.
It's pretty cool.
It's
It's
very
We
cool.
can't talk about exactly what it is, but
Oh, we can to a degree. I mean, we can't talk about what I'm doing in the film.
okay.
But the movie, of course, is Spider-Man: Monsters of Manhattan. This is a independent movie. Obviously, it's not an MCU thing. Ugh, come on now. But it's an independent thing of a bunch of people who are actors and directors and stuff. You know, let's do something with a cool IP to get our names out there and do it. You can check it out now. The teaser trailer's been up a while. It's got 500,000 views on YouTube. monstersofmanhattan.net. You can go check that out and then hear me on Greg Way talk all about it.
Very cool. So yeah, Kinda Funny members, check out that Greg Way for more information. For a chance to be part of this show, though, you can submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube super chats as we go. So if you have any thoughts on how to save WB games, please super chat them in. And also, if there's any IP that they have access to in a studio you'd want working on a game, give us a pitch. We would love to talk
Ooh,
about
good one.
that. Little housekeeping for you. You already got Games Daily talking all about Neil Druckmann saying that you shouldn't bet on getting more Last of Us, which I think is a wild thing to say. He's just
Right.
out here like, let's get some headlines. You know what I mean?
He
I
says, put the
appreciate it. Thank
toothpaste
you.
back in the bottle.
Thank you. Up next is going to be a screencast giving our thoughts on episodes 1 and 2 of Daredevil Born Again. Can't wait to talk about that. The stream after that, it's going to be something with Bless. What you noodling in there? What you thinking?
I sold my soul to the darkness.
Yeah?
Finally.
Oh, yeah. We're going back to Dark Souls.
Oh,
We're
okay,
going back to
okay,
Dark
cool.
Souls.
Exciting. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Lady Twining, Carl Jacobs, and Omega Buster. Today we're brought to you by Monster Hunter Now, but we'll tell you all about that later. For people asking when they can buy this and where they can buy it, kindafunny.com/store is the where. The when is later this week. Probably lining up with
Nick came out on Games Daily and said Friday when they do their
Friday.
Nuzlocke challenge.
both the red and blue versions.
You killed
of
that,
the
Tim. That
jacket.
was good. That was
Thank
good.
you.
That was
I
good.
appreciate you very, very much, Roger. But now it's time for the topic of the show. How to save WB games. Just kidding. We don't have time to go that big.
I mean, it's easy for Warner Brothers in general. We just bring back The Sopranos.
And that's
just
it.
Children,
Oh, yeah. That's
children
what we
Sopranos.
Oh, it's like Muppet Babies, but for the Sopranos.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Okay.
they kind of did that with a movie.
What
and
if we
it
merge
sucked.
with Discovery?
You know, I didn't.
That sounds
Did
good.
the movie suck or was it just not as good as the show?
Shut the fuck up,
Because
Greg. What are
the
we doing?
movie is what got me and Jen then to go watch The Sopranos.
It's a bad movie. It's a really bad movie, guys.
But his
It's-
son is in it. And now his son is in what?
Daredevil,
Yeah, that's right.
Born Again.
He's really good. Yeah, he's really good.
I'm mad
bet-
everybody
Well, he's a
watching
piece of
except
shit
for
in
me.
it, but yeah.
Oh, yeah,
What were you doing with your life,
Playing
Les?
volleyball.
Oh,
It was the
sports,
series
real
season
things.
finale.
Good for your body.
Not the finale. What do they call the last game of a season? What do they call the last game of a season? 'Cause I said
Final game of the
final game
season.
of the
Okay, I said season finale, and I was like, no, that's not.
I mean,
it.
that
No,
counts.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
for this, with it being that works.
technically right.
It is technically right. What's wrong, though?
We're getting borderline of this turning into a kind of funny
I know.
podcast.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
We're doing
cancel
something
it.
one day, you know. But no, the topic is how to save WB games, because if you didn't hear, I'm sure most people listening to this have. About a week ago, Monolith was closed down. Wonder Woman was canceled. Jason Schreier came on this show, talked all about it, and things are in disarray over at Rocksteady. Things haven't necessarily been even close to good when it comes to many of the WB game studios the last couple of years. What a fall from grace for some of the most iconic, well-known, and prestigious video game developers out there, specifically talking about
Rocksteady.
I mean, I would say Rocksteady and Monolith even, right?
Sure.
So here we are now. It's up to us. We got to save
The
it.
nation turns its lonely eyes to us to figure it out.
Top level. Greg, how do we do it?
Jason's Gamescast was so interesting where he came in and we really, I think, were so down in the dumps of, are we actually ever going to see the fruits of the labor of what's going on? You're closing these things now. Why aren't you just closing everything? They're going to sell. They're going to do this. And Jason was like, I don't see that being the thing, right? He put it all on, previous leadership, which is changing over and then understanding what they need to go. So he thinks there's more juice in WB Games as an entity right now than maybe I do. I don't know if I understand that. And I thought that was an interesting take from the one, the only number one games journalist, Jason Schreier from Bloomberg. But then to sit here and be like, how do you save WB and what do you do? I hope, and I think the easiest way, if they are going to maintain the course and keep going and not sell and not close up and which again is like so convoluted because you can bring in a new boss of WB Games, but you still have a boss of WB who is the boss of, you know what I mean? It's like,
and those bosses are proving that they are very bad at running things.
Yeah. And so the short answer here is, as always, learn from your mistakes. Like, this is the same thing I would have said about Concord, which is not a WB game, of course, but you can the writing was on the wall for Concord. The writing was on the wall for Suicide Squad. The writing's been on the wall a lot of different things. And to really dial back what you said, the most astonishing thing about this, the saddest part of the fall from grace, is that these are the motherfuckers who got it. They did Batman Arkham Asylum. And again, I know we trend, I shouldn't say we trend young, we trend old actually, but I know that there's people here who weren't as into video game news and reviews and previews as I was working at IGN reviewing Arkham Asylum. And again, that game, that first demo, me and Anthony Gallegos, when he was still at GameSpy, went in there and we walked out and he was like, that seemed pretty good. And I was like, did it? I'm confused because we're button mashing at one point, but then we're up in the things and we get killed if we get seen. Like, is that going to be fun to play? And then the trepidation, the hesitation I came out of that demo with was I had been burned by so many bad Batman games, Superman games, Spider-Man games. As the guy who loves comics and IP, I had been burned by so many bad licensed games that you just couldn't believe someone was going to do it right. No chance. And that they did it. They destroyed it. They then set up this Arkham universe that for so many people, I truly believe is their Batman. That's the universe they know and they want to go.
It's mine.
And so for WB and Rocksteady to knock that out of the park and not figure it out, not say, holy shit, if we treat the IP, the source material with love and respect and give developers time with it, they can make something special. And instead have it be that it goes on this long, and this kind of dovetails into what we were talking about today with Games Daily, of the art versus the business. And what was happening in the PlayStation 3 generation isn't at all what's happening in the PlayStation 5 generation. So how do you get in there and make the money to keep the thing going, like, I just feel like, how would I fix this? Time travel back and show them, like, you do this again with other IP. Do it with Superman. Do it with Wonder Woman back then. Like, when you could build something there and go with it, rather than go to become Suicide Squad, go to do this, just like shit, fucking Monolith. You know what I mean? Like, they make that first war game. Everyone loves it. They make the second one and they put loot boxes in it. Like, WB and your execs, shut the fuck up and get out of the way. Let creators create. And the money will come if they're making great games and doing this stuff right. But for some reason, Monolith success, Rocksteady success, they then let people get in the way of that success, and that's the problem.
WB, everybody.
Same thing they did to Zack Snyder.
Oh, Lord.
God.
You came up with the idea on one of the shows for us to pair IP that they have access with studios, and they don't necessarily need to be WB studios, but that makes the most sense, and that I feel like is the most true to what we're trying to do here.
So I want to jump in because I think that's one of the things where the idea evolved, where I think when we originally pitched it and we're talking about it on the show, it was like, clearly WB is going to sell. That had been the rumor forever. They're going to get out of the games business. They're going to do this. Then there is, Jason talked about, right? It was that, yeah, they were trying to sell, but they were trying to sell not with the IPs. So buy NetherRealm, but license Mortal Kombat from us, which is a terrible deal, right? Then I think Jason's saying that he thinks there's still juice in WB. The the games we're pitching and stuff, I think can have anybody attached to them. But my question would be for the panel before we even go that way. Do you think the future of WB should be doing the Marvel Games thing of, cool, we own no developers, we just partner with developers and go that way? Or should it be what it is now, we're WB, we have these studios and we're doubling down and batting down the hatches to get through a rough spot, but we want them making our games?
I think it needs to be a mixture of both, right? Like, because right now they're in this weird place where it's going to take, 5 years before we see the next Rocksteady Batman game, if that,
Yeah,
right?
right,
6,
hopefully,
whatever.
yeah.
So they need to kind of have we have teams working on the next Hogwarts, right? Which is going to make us hopefully another $1 billion plus, right? Then we also need to figure out what the next 5 years looks like, right? Like,
Sure.
what are we going to put in the middle of here, right? Is there a way that we can get games out there in the next 2 years, 3 years that are smaller experiences that can continue the lifeblood of, hey, video games and Warner Brothers, they work out really well. Like, can we actually not have people just talk about this, about how Warner Brothers games is dying for the next 5 years? Is there any way that we can have these small little wins? So I think you need to kind of have hey, let's try out little things here and there, and then eventually, hopefully, we can build back up Rocksteady to where it used to be.
Go for it.
Oh,
Boss.
I have 3 scenarios in my head.
Oh, love it. Wow.
I have the dream scenario, which is I think the scenario we're talking about as far as, hey, Rocksteady, make the new Batman. Whatchamacallit? I was gonna say Monolith's gone.
Avalanche.
What was that?
Avalanche.
Yeah, Avalanche, yes. Make another Hogwarts Legacy, NetherRealm, keep smashing, right? Like
keep
NetherRealm, keep going, keep making Mortal Kombat. And then it is the thing of, hey, we have so much other IP. Let's allow other studios to work with our IP to make a cool Telltale Superman game, even though Telltale's not a good example because Telltale's is barely around. But you get what I mean,
You'll
right?
see me pitch somebody different in a bit.
Yeah, let's spread out our IP in ways that are going to do the best by all the stuff we own, because we own a lot of good shit. That's the dream scenario that I think is too good to be true.
Yeah.
Then under that, I have the, I guess, best case scenario, I guess, for WB keeping their studios, which honestly is kind of grim because they've shut down. They're shutting down Monolith, right? Wonder Woman's canceled. If I were to sit back and ask you guys, all right, if WB were to continue doing the WB thing, what are the best case scenarios for what those games are when those games come out? Even when I think about, all right, a Rocksteady Batman Beyond game, I guess, or another Batman Arkham game coming out in 4 to 5 years, another Mortal Kombat coming out in a few years, or Injustice, right? And then another Hogwarts Legacy coming out in 4 years. After that, right, a Lego game, maybe I think it starts to get grim from there as far as the things that you have left and how long you've taken to work on these things and how much things have deteriorated since, I would say, prime WB games, which I would put in the latter half of maybe the 2010s or the late 2000s, right? When you're talking about Rocksteady's Batman, when you're talking about Shadow of Mordor and games like that. I then have my third scenario, which is the dark grim scenario, but I think almost the most realistic one, and this goes against the Schreier thing, right? Or maybe on a different timeline. But I think it is, all right, cool. WB Games is not a thing anymore. We're selling out all our studios. We're keeping the IP, which sucks for some studios like NetherRealm, because NetherRealm, their whole brand is Mortal Kombat and sometimes Injustice. When you lose out on Mortal Kombat, Injustice, who's buying NetherRealm? Are you buying it and then licensing out? That's such a bad case scenario, and I think that's going to lead to such a bad place for that studio. But I think you're going to have scenarios like that of, hey, who wants to buy Rocksteady? Who wants to buy Avalanche? We're WB Games is done doing games, right? And we're just WB the other sides of the business. Those are my 3 scenarios. And honestly, I think that last one is probably the most realistic.
I mean, it's funny you say that. As there's going to be bad things that come from that. I think any scenario there's going to be bad things because of how poorly managed this is and has been. I think that's the right move. I understand all the licensing of the IP. I feel like that is the right way to fix this problem, is to be able to go to developers big and small to be able to make Batman games, Game of Thrones games, Harry Potter games, whatever it is. I also think that there are a couple of the WB owned studios that would easily get acquired by the people with the money to do that. And then I think that the conversation of licensing after that gets interesting, but I do think that we're talking about some of the very few brands out there that it's worth it. If it's worth it to license Spider-Man, it's worth it to license Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sure, there's a cost associated with that, but I feel like those are costs that are worth it if you are at a certain level. And does this mean Tencent? Maybe, and that's not good, right? Sure. But this could mean Xbox, PlayStation, one of them. And I think that if those decisions were made, there would be focus to it. There would be an actual goal in place for that to happen. Raj.
But my brain goes to like, I can see a Rocksteady getting acquired, right? Just 'cause that name, right? It has so much cachet, but like, I would never see a Warner Brothers Montreal ever getting acquired in any sense.
There's
right?
losers
Like,
here, for
yeah,
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I think
but I'm
you
talking
get,
about NetherRealm. I'm talking
Sure,
about
you
Avalanche.
get
I'm
those-
talking about Rocksteady.
yeah.
Those are
Okay,
the three,
those are the
right?
three.
And TT Games potentially too. Like,
Yeah.
like there's value there, right? Like, there's value
I don't think TT Games.
potentially. Like that's the thing is like I don't think that everybody like
No, I
makes
don't-
it through this in this scenario, but I do think that there's value to TT Games in the family space, which is a very important space in video games that they fill. And if they were to be gone, I don't know that there's another group ready to jump up there.
I think they're perfect for PlayStation in a big way of like they're trying to do the Lego Horizon.
That was the whole thing, right? Lego Horizon. The knock against it was it's not a Lego game. It doesn't feel like these Lego
and they're
games.
trying to
It's
make
learned
more
none of the
family-friendly
lessons.
games, right? I could see that. as a
I
good
could also
pairing.
see PlayStation acquiring NetherRealm and also acquiring Mortal
everybody.
Kombat.
Just
Well, acquiring
all of
Mortal
them. Exactly.
Kombat at the same time,
Yeah,
right? Like
that makes
getting that IP because PlayStation
Evo.
they are Evo they own right now. They are getting more and more into the fighting game space. Like they own the announcement of both Tekken and Street Fighter for the latest ones. They are big into fighting games and owning Mortal
Makes
Kombat
sense.
as an exclusive. That's such a PlayStation move.
Yeah, I see the TT Games, if that were to be a thing, that's to me Xbox, especially with their new multi-platform strategy, because those games need to be multi-platform. Like those games need to be accessible to as many people as possible. They are, like many things, perfect Game Pass games. We're getting very, very ahead here.
I mean,
that's good
this could be the
conversation.
conversation.
But yeah, that's the thing is I do think that they're like
We had a great idea though. We need to do it.
What?
That everybody picks 3 games.
Oh yeah,
Oh
we'll get
yeah,
there.
we will. Yeah.
All of what Schreier said like makes obvious sense,
Obviously.
and he like it's very clear that there is so many millions, if not billions, of dollars at risk of taking the talent but not having the IP that they're known for. But I do think that there is enough talent there that like NetherRealm, for example, like I do think that they have the stuff to be able to make a new IP, to make something new, or just be given a different
know.
license.
And that's my
that they
thing is
have.
I don't know. You don't think so?
It'll never be as big as Mortal Kombat, but we need to
I don't
also
think
keep
so.
in mind Mortal Kombat, the most recent one, did not sell nearly as well as the last couple of Mortal Kombats
But
by millions.
I love NetherRealm. Big reason is that I love Mortal Kombat. I don't know if NetherRealm is NetherRealm without either Mortal Kombat or Injustice. It's hard for me to think of a new IP that they could work on.
License anything though. That's the thing is like
Yeah.
if they could do it for Injustice, if they can do it for DC, just get them what license do you have? By NetherRealm, you're making a PlayStation fighting game with all the PlayStation characters. You get what I'm saying? Like,
What was the Marvel one? The Marvel fighting game they had on PS2, Inhumans or something like that. Injustice. It was like an in something.
Marvel
whatever.
versus Capcom.
It was like Nemesis. People know it. It was like you'll see it.
who
Whatever.
made-
It was like a PS2 like fighting game, like 3D fighting game. That was it was like really gritty, and it had like
NetherRealm made it?
no, not NetherRealm. I'm just saying in terms
Marvel
of
Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects.
That's what I'm saying.
Which,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
rolls off the tongue.
Exactly.
No,
Beautiful.
I think NetherRealm would get scooped up no problem, and I do think the idea would be if they were suddenly scooped up by anybody, PlayStation. Let's just run with yours. PlayStation scoops them up, right? I think Marvel games would be stupid not to be like, cool, make a Injustice. Humongous. We will hire. Well, I think Tom King is exclusive to DC now, but we'll give you a storied Marvel writer to also do to just copy Injustice. People would fucking love that. Like, I mean, not obviously the exact same story, but like we're making a Marvel fighting game that just looks like Injustice. And
My
doesn't anything.
only thing is like, I feel like Marvel vs. Capcom or like some other Marvel fighting game is already in the works.
But see, my thing is, I think they're so different. Where I would never in a million years pick up Marvel vs. Capcom, right? It's just it's such a fighting game that isn't my thing. Whereas Injustice is a story, right? Like I horribly played Injustice 1 to get all the way through the story, right? Like that brings in that idea, and I think if you're telling a story that is a Marvel thing, but it's pulling threads that not exactly, but it's telling you a great Marvel story and focusing on Iron Man and focusing on Cap and doing, hey, you loved MCU, this is pretty cool. I think that would find success, let alone, you start to mix in if it is PlayStation, putting on PlayStation Plus, or if it's Game Pass or whatever, you know what I mean? Like there's all these different things of where you're putting it to get it to that mainstream audience. That's always been the thing, right? Mortal Kombat, when you ask people on the street about a fighting game, I think they bring it up because it's the most mainstream fighting game. Yeah, I mean, like that's how I think you'd be out there with it.
I still do think there's no world where PlayStation buys NetherRealm and they don't just buy Mortal Kombat because that just fits within the PlayStation ethos so strongly as far as how big Mortal Kombat is, how much I think NetherRealm's value is boosted by Mortal Kombat.
The only reason you wouldn't is that WB's not selling it.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I buy NetherRealm and I wait WB out the 5 years.
Yeah,
We're like, fuck, we don't know what we're doing. Why do we keep it?
But I think if they're selling
Yeah.
NetherRealm, they're selling. there
You
has
think
to be
so?
some kind of like Walmart like dash the price out, like, hey, we're selling these as a bundle kind of thing.
We also got to remember, like, Mortal Kombat is, of course, it's biggest in video games, but there's movies. They're making movies, they're making merchandise, they're making straight to animated, DVD movies. Like, it's a big franchise outside of gaming.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Warner Brothers would just want to hold on to it just for
I
the
think they
movie
do.
rights alone.
No,
right?
I
Or
think
maybe they just keep the movie rights and they give away the game rights, right? Like, if they split it up like that.
The K Bottoms, a Marvel Civil War fighting game would be cool. Hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm so with you though, Bless. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I think that Mortal Kombat is one of the only of these IP that is worth the money because of how much money Mortal Kombat makes and has the potential to eventually make as well.
Yeah, that's the thing is I think it'll be one of those ones where the news story, like we're gonna be talking about the number, if this ever happens, right? At PlayStation or anybody else acquiring Mortal Kombat, we're gonna look at the number and be like, damn, like you paid that much for Mortal Kombat, but it would make sense in the long run.
And
for them.
like, not to get ahead of ourselves, because I do have like, we have the list of like games that we're fantasy booking or whatever. Like, one of the ones that I have is I want NetherRealms, or just I guess Warner Brothers in general, to do a single player Mortal Kombat game again. Like, that franchise has so much juice in terms of like the public cachet of like my mom knows Scorpion. Like, my mom, like, that's crazy. Like, everyone knows these characters. I think there's just a barrier of entry of fighting games to a certain extent, and I would love to play a Mortal Kombat Scorpion game, right? That is just a third person God of War-esque, like, you're just over the shoulder beating people up, like, in a more approachable way, and then get people into that franchise like that. Because just
Shaolin
doing
Monks.
Yeah, literally. I mean, like, I love Shaolin Monks as a kid, like, because it was the only one that I could really play and like feel like I had a great time with. So yeah, I think there's something to do with NetherRealms, and especially if NetherRealms gets bought up by PlayStation with Mortal Kombat, how cool would that
And
be?
that's the next Blue Point game.
I mean, yeah, like,
Blue Point Scorpion.
I mean, that's cool. Like, that's cool.
Definitely
Exciting.
is. All right, I want to get into some of our pitches here that we have. Bless, I want to start with you.
Yeah.
Choose one of yours.
To set the stage here, right? So this was the idea of this came from, I think, either a KFG conversation with me and Greg, or maybe it was the Gamescast, because he's talked about in the Gamescast of like, me wanting to do the dream scenario of, all right, what if we ran WB games like Marvel games and just licensed out the IP to different studios, right? Or even if you wanted to use the WB studios. So I went into this with more of a dreamlike scenario of like, I don't think these are the most realistic things, but also I think there would be a lot of potential, a lot of juice here in terms of some of these ideas. Which one do I want to start with? One of these ones, I think I share an idea with Roger.
Yeah, I took it away because I saw that you wrote it, and I was
you
like,
took it
you
away?
fucking copied me. You piece
Okay.
of shit.
Just like he stole this idea.
I know, right? It's crazy. Blessing did that to me.
All right, let's talk about an IP and a studio that are very combat and martial arts focused, right? An IP and a studio that I think do well with intriguing concepts. An IP and a studio that have a lot of style to them. Matrix.
Say IP in studio.
An IP studio. Matrix by Slow Clap. I think that'd be such a slam dunk of a, hey.
I'll give that a fast clap.
Hey! Thank you. Right? I think that'd be such a slam dunk of what is a studio that we know that is very talented with a combat, a studio that can make a game that I think can play super well. You look at a game like Sifu, right? And Sifu is all about the bobbing and weaving. It is all about like that fast action and feeling locked in as a player into the martial arts and all the stuff that you're doing. I think Matrix would actually be the next evolution of what that gameplay would be like for a Sifu thing. You're adding in bullet time, slow motion. You're adding in more guns,
weapons.
moves with flair. You're bobbing and weaving like bullets, right? And bullet time. That fits the Sifu gameplay style so well. And Matrix, I think, is a franchise that one already has a history in video games. Like, how many people do you know that played
Enter the Matrix.
Enter the
Path of
Matrix?
Neo.
Yeah, like I remember being at my friend Caleb's house in high school,
Shout out
and he
Caleb.
had a GameCube, and I forget which Matrix it was. I think it might have been Enter the Matrix.
It must have been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like gameplay is fucking awesome. I fucked with this game heavy. I think the video game audience would love another Matrix game. Matrix as an IP, super strong, something I think you should be doing more with in the video game space. Obviously, they've done stuff recently with it in the movie space.
How'd that go?
You know?
Exactly. So let's go. Let's make some games. Let's get
Yeah,
some.
let's make some games. Let's try it out. And I think Slow Clap is a studio that wouldn't get too cute with narrative and story. Hey, what is the most basic ass like conceit we can make as far as what you're doing with this game? It has to be about one thing. Just escape the Matrix.
Yeah, that's Emre in the chat says there was a Matrix bonus level in Sifu. I totally forgot about that.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
arenas, like it literally was you're dressed like Neo and you're doing it. It was
I
just
totally
freaking
forgot
awesome.
about that. Yeah, my pitch for this when I had it originally was just literally just do Matrix Path of Neo. Like you just it's the games just condensed, and it's just Neo's best moments throughout all of the games, and we just put that into one package and we call it a day, and we go off of the nostalgia of the original games.
Barry,
And
can we bring up footage of Path of Neo? I don't know if I've seen gameplay.
it's just beat 'em up type thing.
Which was I can never keep track, so I apologize. But what was the Matrix game that was the prequel to the movie where we followed Jada?
Enter the Matrix.
Yeah, I remember that being such a cool idea.
Yeah.
We just did the Games Daily story where Joe and Anthony Russo were like, yeah, we'd be open to games on Doomsday or whatever. But it's like, I remember that announcement, and I wasn't even a big Matrix guy, and I played that game because I was like, what a cool idea that I'm playing stuff that is going to be influencing the movie.
Enter the Matrix was kind of like the Batman Arkham before Batman Arkham, but like not necessarily in a good way, because Batman Arkham was a major surprise to people of like, oh, holy shit, a licensed game's good.
Yeah.
Enter the Matrix was the one where it's like, oh my God, this licensed game is going to be the one to change everything. And then it didn't. But everyone played it, and everyone like has
Everybody
fond
had it,
memories
yeah.
of it. But like, because it was very well marketed. But yeah, the game was not great and was not well received when it originally came out.
And one more thing I want to say to this idea of a slow clap Matrix game too is I think more publishers and IP holders in the video game side should embrace smaller studios and should embrace indie studios. Hey, Matrix, gigantic IP. What if we made something small with it that has the potential to make a lot of money? I think a slow clap game for Matrix wouldn't cost as much as if Avalanche was doing it, right? Or if Monolith was doing it. You make it at a lower budget, but I think you still have such high sales potential because guess what? It's Matrix and the gameplay will be good, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I was last to get to this list, so it was a little more slim pickings trying to like add things here. But when I was thinking Matrix, I wasn't thinking slow clap. I was thinking Remedy.
That'd be great too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that'd
yeah.
be great.
Yeah, I was thinking about Remedy. I don't know. I just want them to do whatever
Do their
they
own
want
thing,
to do.
yeah.
Yeah. Even though I like fantasy booking their stuff.
Raj,
Hi.
let's go to you next.
This is a weird one to start off with, but I think that this might be the right answer or the type of caliber of game that Warner Brothers should be leaning on and giving resources to. And this would be a Teen Titans game because Teen Titans is just such an amazing IP that grew up, that was raised a lot of Gen Zers and millennials, right? Like,
Are we doing a real one or a Teen Titans Go or what are we doing?
no, not Teen Titans Go. Like more in the line of the
Cartoon
animated show. Yeah, the original animated show. And this would be actually made by Upstream Arcade. Upstream Arcade are the people that did the newest Hellboy game and also West of the Dead. We could pull up some gameplay of that. These games have such incredible art styles. The only issue is that the combat is just not, it's just almost there. It's just not quite there, right? They just need a little bit more resources and a little bit more time, but man, they have the style, they got the stuff. And when I look at the new Hellboy game specifically, like that game, of course, is aping off of the Hellboy comics very clearly. Like it feels like you're
As
inside
it should.
of a Hellboy
That's,
comic.
I mean,
Yeah.
they were going for a look there. And
But it's also not too far off from like a Teen Titans like animated thing. Like I can see that. I can see that, like the contrast in the visuals. And again, it's combat's not the greatest in the world. It's very, this was a roguelite. This was kind of like, I think I beat the game in like 3 hours or something like that. It was a very short experience, but it was like $30 or something like that. It was, for what it was a good time. I can see them with a few more years, a few more millions of dollars behind them. This game could really hit specifically for the people that are like, shit, I want an adult Teen Titans game. I want something that is a little bit more
Adult
for
Titans.
me. Then the opposite side of this, I mean, I want a Teen Titans game in general, right? The opposite side was I would want Deck 9 to do a Teen Titans game and
Oh
do
my
one that
God.
is more of like, hey, the relation. What was the artist? Shit. I wish I looked this up. There was that artist. I think there was maybe even a comic run where it was like them in high school, and like it's all over the internet.
Oh yeah, they get sampled all the time. I know what you're talking about. I don't think it was ever actually a full blown comic. It's
Yes.
just,
I know
it
what
was,
you're talking about.
I would.
I follow them on Instagram.
I would fucking love that if we actually had like, hey, they're in high school, like it's Teen Titans, they're growing up
Gabriel
now.
Piccolo.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I used
Oh
to play
man,
this
shout
all
out
the
Bear for
time.
bringing up Teen Titans Battle Blitz
Yeah.
from CartoonNetwork.com.
The last Teen Titans game I
Bro,
remember ever
I was in
playing.
4th and 5th grade, just in the computers at the back of class, doing this every single
Same.
lunchtime.
Incredible. But yeah, I think Teen Titans is one of the most underutilized IP inside of DC. Has so much cachet.
Dude,
And
I-
if we were to do either the beat 'em up one or we do something that's more of like a Life is Strange thing, I think that would hit really
I
hard.
agree so much. It's crazy how, I mean, Roger, you obviously, and Barrett, obviously, and Tim might know, right? Of like growing up at our age group and how much Teen Titans like hit for that generation, right? In 2004, 2005, around that time, you ask any kid of what's your favorite Cartoon Network cartoon?
Yeah.
Teen Titans is most
Even if
likely
they
gonna
don't
be the
like
answer.
DC. Even
Yeah.
like Man's one of our favorite cartoons is Teen Titans, and
Dude,
she don't give a shit.
Justice League was on TV.
Yeah.
Batman the animated series is on TV, and obviously like these are great cartoons. I'm not throwing any shade. I was watching Teen Titans.
Yes.
I didn't give a fuck about
Robin
Batman.
was my favorite DC character. Period.
Fuck
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
it
give a
was.
Yeah.
like I watched Static Shock. Static Shock's cool, but like Teen Titans was different.
It was different.
Teen
And, like-
Titans was different. When
And
Tara showed up,
Slade was so
Oh,
scary
my-
during it. Like
you started about Slade.
And also my little other side thing here, my little mini game here is this should tie into a Deathstroke game made by One More Level. The people that did Ghost Runner. A first person
sick.
Deathstroke game would be sick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
that
yeah,
would be
Teen
kinda
Titans. That feels like one of the fumbles of the DC generation
Yeah.
of not making more good Teen Titans shit and other
Good is the key word.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah.
no,
Not
no.
just
In
more.
other mediums.
Go is good. Go
No, I'm
is
talking about Titans, the show.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
But
Titans the
Go
show's
is really
really
All
good.
right, now hold on. They had Connell in there, so let's not just start talking.
And I'm just saying
All
video
right.
games in general. How has there
Yes.
not been a major Teen Titans video game?
Yeah, there
So
has
many
been.
people love
There
Teen
has been,
Titans.
but they're not good.
Major.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Gregory,
Hi, how are you?
please hit me with something.
I think I like what we're talking about. I like how we're all kind of on the same page too, of just like we should work with different developers, smaller developers, do these things, right? I think one of the things I know that I get shit for sometimes is wanting everybody to work on an IP and do this thing. But it's back to what we see is we see studios close and not make money and not be able to make headlines and not be able to do it. I would like to see, I think there is a market for a Wonder Woman game with a lowered expectation, not this giant open world AAA, yada, yada, yada. I would want to see a Wonder Woman game from Yellow Brick Games. Yellow Brick Games just put out Eternal Strands. We've seen this. It was a game that a new IP, new thing, moved the needle on day, and then you haven't heard much, I feel, since then. Of course, Yellow Brick Games, I'm going to read from their Wikipedia, founded early 2020 by Mike Laidlaw. Of course, you know him, formerly over at BioWare, and several other developers from Ubisoft, in particular the Quebec studio, which of course means they worked on my beloved Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but they also worked on Immortals Phoenix Rising, another game everyone loved the gameplay of, but did it make this many moves? Did it do this kind of thing? I think you can, as we watch right now, Eternal Strands gameplay, you're seeing a lot of different powers and stuff. Here's bow and arrow. I like the combat of it. They bring in supernaturally kind of powers or whatever to it. But I think if you were to have just taken this idea of a game and applied a Wonder Woman license to it, I think you would have moved more units and gotten more people excited and found a bigger audience. I'm not trying to take away from Eternal Strands audience. I'm not trying to take away. I'm complimenting it. I'm saying I think the game is so good. I wish more people were playing it. I didn't love it from what I played. I put it down. But I mean, I think there's stuff here, right? And I think to go in here, especially with how do you make Wonder Woman interesting? How do you do all these different things? Why not come in and do, hey, it's Wonder Woman. It is the Greek god stuff. We're leaning into it. We are climbing everything. Diana's, thrown from Themyscira to this other Greek island that she's got to escape. Cersei made a whole plot, put her in here. So she is fighting the gods. She is doing Minotaur stuff, working with the gods, whatever it needs to be, right? But it also gives you this room of, cool, she picks up the gauntlet and it's kind of got to worry with the not weapons, but you make the ability of like you have the speed of Hermes, right? You're picking this thing up, you're going this way. You have giant enemies to crawl and fight and battle with. Like I think just taking what they've already done with Immortals, what they've already done with Eternal Strands, and giving it, hey, we're putting it in a DC world, we're giving you Wonder Woman, we want you to play with it. I think it would rein in some of the ideas that I think got a little off track with Eternal Strands, but also make a narrative there. It's like, okay, cool, and I know what's going on. You bring Gail back, Gail Simone, of course, who was a seasoned comic book writer, was working, of course, on this Wonder Woman game as a consultant. Bring her in to pen the narrative here, have it go. And again, don't go bigger than what's happening in Eternal Strands. Have it be that it's all voice acted, but yeah, it's just the still images popping up and talking to each other, going back and forth. You're crafting armor, you're doing this thing. Throw in somebody else from, the DC world of even, I think it'd be cool if you had back at camp, and this would piss people off for sure, but maybe we do a thing where it's like we're toying with the idea that this is a Wonder Woman and Batman are together kind of thing, but when they get pulled through here and Batman gets injured, so it is just Bruce Wayne's back at your camp, laid up in a cast. He's able to give you tech and upgrades with what you bring and really get into that kind of nature of it. There's a bunch of fun stuff you could do with it that Eternal Strands already does, but I feel like applying some of this would actually go further for what the game could be. And again, way less investment from WB Games. We're not going to Monolith and saying, you haven't made anything, and Jason kept bringing it up, 7 years, 8 years, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We need you to make this thing, and it balloons, and it balloons, and it balloons. No, we're keeping it small, we're keeping it tight, we're doing something fun.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like that.
So this is rough for me because I'm loving the pitches I'm hearing. But my problem is with the statement of how to save WB.
You got to burn it down first.
I'm just very pessimistic about a lot of the DC superhero IP that we're talking about being able to save things, right? I really do think that it is hey, back to basics in the most extreme way. It's Batman, y'all. It's just Batman. Like, I don't think that any scale Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, whatever game at this point is going to save anything. You know what I mean? Even if it's incredibly good and all that stuff, I feel like that would then need to be like, that would be such a dramatic shift starter. And such a surprise. It would be another Batman Arkham moment, I think. And I think that's very unlikely to happen. So I struggle trying to come up with like, well, how would you save it? And I think the easiest answer is TT Games, Lego Marvel Infinity Saga. Make the fucking money.
Oh my
Go
God.
back to the hits of the, like we've said it so many damn times. And it's just the easy right answer. Go for the thing that people are like, well, I liked the Infinity Saga. I don't like Phase 4 and 5 and 6 and whatever, but I like that shit, you know? That's going to make the money for the kids and all that stuff. DC Snap, the other one. It's Marvel Snap,
come
but
on
it's
now.
DC Snap. Make the fucking money. Get the characters out there. Educate the children.
Educate them.
All right?
They need
What
to
is
know
there-
about Metamorpho.
Is there a twist that you would put on this one? Is there another card game that you would kind of, just
No.
an original?
No twist.
Just Snap.
Nope. Just do Snap.
Just get sued.
No. Work with that
Oh,
team.
they did Smash Brothers.
Like,
okay.
literally, have that
Bring
team
back
do it or
DC
something like
Overpowered, which ripped off Magic.
I think with a lot of the stuff is like, it's don't overthink this. It's like, go back to what you know works. You do what you know is going to work here. So yeah, more Hogwarts. Lean into Hogwarts as much as humanly possible. So yeah, I don't have one really like fun pitch, except for one little.
I
time.
saw.
Yeah, he's got one.
I
He's got one.
didn't
He's
see
got
it.
one.
You'll say it
Let
now.
him cook.
Everything I just said about go back to the guaranteed hits, throw that out the fucking window, okay? Because I got a great idea. It's not going to save WB games, but it's going to be really cool, and it could work, and I think that it's the right level of budget and marketing and all the things you need for this to be a hit. NBA Space Jam, okay? You take NBA Jam, you take the Space Jam characters. It's made by Dotemu,
He cooked.
all right?
He cooked.
We know that they're good at great nostalgic video games and great nostalgic IP. You combine them together. Come on, a slam.
Contender.
Oh.
To the jam, baby.
Contender.
I love that.
He
Is
did
Michael
it.
Jordan in it? Is LeBron
Yes,
James
both.
in it?
Both.
Both.
Come on.
That's the thing. And they're both in it. This is everything. And
Wow.
Michael B. Jordan as well.
That got me.
And,
that
and
made
here's
me
the
sad.
pitch, right? Michael Jordan gone evil. He's gone heel. He's
Oh,
like John
shit.
Cena. He fucking kicked LeBron James in the nuts, and he's the captain of the
He's the big.
Monstars.
Whoa!
Yeah. LeBron James.
No!
LeBron James is leading the Bugs Bunny team. Michael Jordan is leading the Monstars.
Oh, I love that. They don't have the rights to Michael Jordan, though. They have to give him $1 million, $2 million. You know what I mean?
Michael Jordan might be the thing that
Jordan
that
Michael.
makes this fail. This takes down WB games.
What they rename Mike Tyson to and Punch Out? They just
Oh,
do
that's
that.
a good call. Yeah, just do that.
Yeah.
Get Michael B. Jordan to be in there.
Oh,
I
they
mean,
did that
honestly,
in Space Jam, too.
They did do that in
No, I
Space
didn't
Jam.
watch
That was the bit.
Yeah.
That was the bit.
No,
They're like,
they
hey, we
kept
got
it-
Michael
we got
Jordan.
Michael Jordan. And he came
Yeah, it was
through.
a great
So
movie.
good.
It was a great movie.
Great
Michael
movie,
Jordan's
everybody.
evil in the power.
so
We
high.
will continue doing this right after a quick word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Monster Hunter Now. Whether I'm taking Ben to the playground, soccer practice, or on a hike with Jen, I'm wandering the outdoors more than ever. That's where Monster Hunter Now comes in. It's an authentic Monster Hunter experience on your mobile that lets you find and hunt monsters in the real world using your phone, whether you're out on a walk, commuting, or just need a quick hunting break between your console sessions. And right now, there's no better time to jump in because Monster Hunter Now is running an epic collaboration event with Monster Hunter Wilds, packed with surprises that any Monster Hunter fan won't want to miss. Let's talk about the good stuff. For the first time, a monster from Monster Hunter Wilds has made its way into Monster Hunter Now. Players can also experience the thrill of riding a Sacred from Monster Hunter Wilds with the new layered equipment and so much more. This won't be available once the event ends, so don't miss your chance to get it while you can, and don't you worry about me and that Sacred look. I already unlocked it. But that's not all. By completing event quests, you'll unlock a special gift code that can be redeemed in Monster Hunter Wilds. These rewards will give you an early head start, making sure you're geared up and ready to take on the next big adventure. So if you haven't already, now's the perfect time to download Monster Hunter Now. It's free to play, and trust me, once you start hunting monsters in the real world, you'll be hooked. Go to kindafunny.com/MH now, jump into the event before it's gone, and I'll see you out there. Remember, that's kindafunny.com/MH now. Happy hunting.
Nathan, the viewer in the chat, says it might be recency bias, but a Tom and Jerry haze light.
I just saw that. That's incredible.
I mean, I have a haze light pitch here, so I'm excited.
Yeah?
to talk about it.
Ooh.
Go, Roger.
You want me to go now?
Go now. Fuck it.
So, I mean, I just want to talk generally about like, I was like,
Jerry.
oh, well, I was like, okay, well, what are, I was like,
Talk about two characters I haven't thought about in 40 years.
No, I think about Tom and Jerry a lot.
yeah, you're a big,
I'm a big Looney Tunes guy. Yeah,
Is
Tom and
Looney- they're not part of Looney
No,
Tunes.
but like
Adjacent.
yeah.
They're like the same slot.
neighbors.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Fraggle Rock and the Muppets. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I was looking
Yeah.
through like the Warner Brothers IPs, I was like, okay, well, they have Cartoon Network. This is gonna be easy. And I thought about it. I was like, man, they've fumbled Cartoon Network so fucking heavily in the last like 20 years. Like, that is not what it used to be back in the day, right? Like, and there's a lot of course, they own all these rights to these things, but it's like, I don't know, is a fucking Powerpuff Girls thing gonna work the way that it did back in the day? Like, no, none of this is gonna work. The only thing that I could think of that I think would work in 2025, just because of nostalgia and also just when it came out, is an Adventure Time thing. And I was like, Haze Light and Adventure Time could be really good.
Ooh.
Like a 2-player Adventure Time game where, you know, you pay as Finn, you pay as Jake, and that just writes itself. Like, it doesn't have to be as long as a split fiction, but for an 8-hour experience, I think that could be really solid. I don't know if that would
I'm not
sell.
mad at it.
That would not sell, but that could be really good.
I mean, it'll sell a little bit. Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing is, Adventure Time is very popular. I wasn't an Adventure Time
Yeah.
kid. I think I was a little bit too old for Adventure Time, which is weird because all the people I knew who liked Adventure Time were somehow older than I was.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a weirdly, like, it just hit. For
This
a
was
lot
like
of
the
people.
last thing that I watched.
It was
on
like the
Cartoon
last thing, and you know, bless you and I were in high school, and like the stoners, all of us were still watching kids' cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, after school, and Adventure Time was the one to watch.
I feel like Haze Light is almost like they're
Too
like
good?
slightly too big.
Yeah.
I think to make an Adventure Time game, but like I don't know. I think that would be an interesting risk to take. Of hey, what would happen if we went big with an Adventure Time video game?
Yeah, especially if they lean into the 2-player aspect of it, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that that's a market that is still not fully tapped. Like, I mean, of course, it's only Haze Light kind of doing those types of games. So I don't know if they did one more that was a license thing. I would want to see how that performed, specifically with Adventure Time.
There was a while where the Tom and Jerry Super Nintendo video game was the only game I had at my house.
Wow.
Fuck
Game
yeah.
wasn't great, but it was pretty cool.
Like, I watched Tom and Jerry. Don't get me wrong. So but like the memory I have of Tom and Jerry is that my mom once bought Tom and Jerry popsicles, and they were like the best popsicles I had ever fucking had. You know what I mean?
Were they shaped like Tom
yeah,
or
I was
Jerry?
like sucking on Tom's head. You know what I
Nothing
mean?
like it. Nothing
Probably why my
like
mom
it.
never bought it again.
Zach Johnson in the chat says, "Why have none of you said Scooby Doo?" And I want to say, like, there is something there.
for sure.
Scooby Doo, I feel, is
Dude.
a great IP to come up with a video game for because I think that like you can. That's the type
Do
of
it
thing
Until Dawn.
that you can like
Scooby-Doo.
change
No.
the tone of it and like you can adult it up or kidify it as in any direction that you're trying
I
to
stand
go.
by this. A Scooby Doo Night of 100 Frights on PS2.
No,
Come on.
I stand by the IP, but trying to adult it up or whatever, like you got to try to find someone who can capture that original energy.
Supermassive. You give
It
to
works, dude. The,
you
but-
give it to Supermassive.
No,
Scooby
and someone else said don't nod. Like I
Comic's
think
awesome.
both of those studios, like they would try to recontextualize Scooby Doo into something that like loses what makes that.
But what
like,
makes
these-
Scooby Doo for
nonsense.
Scooby Snacks.
being goofy and silly alongside being kind of like weird and creepy.
The
I think
Harlem
both
Globetrotters.
of those
Don
having
Knotts.
having
Velma.
weird like crossovers with like the Harlem Globetrotters and shit. I feel like both of those studios would try to be like we're taking Scooby Doo very
I
seriously.
just don't think any of this sells. Like, I don't know. Like, to me, it's just, we're at the point now where it's like, oh, well, IP? We got to make video game with IP. It's like, is a Scooby-Doo thing ever going to sell outside of, like, you just make these AA games that are, what are the people that make all those AA games now that are, like, basically THQ, but they're not THQ?
THQ Nordic.
No, but they're, like,
Yeah,
you know what I
Embracer
mean.
Group.
Yeah, Embracer Group.
No, not even
Saber.
that. They
Hawk
make
Media.
like the fucking Spies Next Door, Totally Spies, not Spies Next Door, Totally Spies games, whatever.
Spies Next Door.
You've seen them all. They make all these games. They made that TMNT game that
game
looked
is
kind of
Roger
good, but it wasn't.
Yeah, what are you watching over there? Whatever. Spies Next Door.
Whatever. You guys know what I'm talking
Whoa.
about. You guys know what I'm talking about.
OG games.
OG games. There
We
it
got
is.
some super
You
chats
just
here.
make an OG game Scooby Doo.
CJ Splits on says Static Shock could be WB's Miles, Air Surf on a sewer lid. Static Shock don't got the stuff, man. I know we all say it. We all grew up fucking watching that cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about like a Static Shock Sucker Punch game, and I was like, man, it'd be so sick, but also Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Another character that they've just completely fucked up after its initial.
That's the thing is like, oh man. See, now I'm getting into the CEO brain that I shouldn't be because I'm like, well, if you made a Static Shock movie that was successful and then made the
Lot of
video,
ifs.
but it's like, okay, we can't work that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't work that way.
Tundra Boy says, I always wanted Atlas to make a Harry Potter game. David Flores says, is Avalanche the same studio that made the Mad Max game? Make more of those. They are, but now they're making Harry Potter.
Aren't they
You're never
Are-
seeing
no,
Mad Max
there's
again.
two different
That's a different
Avalanches.
Avalanche.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this
confusing.
Avalanche made what was the Toys to Life game?
Disney Infinity?
The other one. But yes, actually,
Lego Dimensions.
I think
Skylanders?
no.
Skylanders. I think this Avalanche was the Skylanders guys, right?
no, they were Disney Infinity, weren't they?
Oh, maybe they were.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Disney
Yeah,
Infinity.
Disney Infinity.
Yeah, they
You're
were
right.
Disney Infinity.
You're right.
The other
Toy
Avalanche
Story
is
3.
Avalanche is now called Avalanche Studios Group.
Great.
The,
That's-
the last
that's
thing.
that fixes it. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Is it time to give MK versus DC another shot, says Tundra Boy? No, I think they've definitely found their bag with
Yeah,
Injustice.
because like you
Justice.
can put they have put MK characters in the DC games and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So you already got it.
Cameron says, need one more Cartoon Network game before WB dies.
I agree. I think. Well, no, we have the. There was no, never mind. I'm thinking of Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. Because I was gonna say like a Cartoon Network,
versus
a Cartoon Network crossover Smash Brothers kind of game.
Well, yeah.
could be sick.
It's just like
You
these
know,
IPs
throw
are
in some
just-
more characters in there. Put LeBron James in it.
Yeah.
Make it free to
Call it
play.
a day.
Going back to what we said before, do you think we can do Injustice versus MK specifically?
I mean, I think that would be the same thing as.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, you just remaster Mortal Kombat versus DC. We've done this game.
I just don't
Greg
think it's
reviewed
worth
it
it.
for some reason.
Yeah, but there's no blood. I don't know. I feel like Injustice would have blood.
That's the thing
if
is they
did
This
it.
time with
Yeah, this
blood.
time with blood.
There's
yeah,
already
yeah.
enough crossover in the DLC characters that I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
you announced that, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like we've been playing this for the last decade.
Yeah, that's
basically.
true. You're right.
Optimistic says, please do a Dream Marvel game podcast. Love the conversation. Thank you so much. Scoopball says, SWAT's Cats, or make the Matrix PS5 demo a game. I don't know what SWAT's Cats is.
That sounds dangerous.
There's a lot of Z's in it.
Watts cats. I feel like that's not good on a box.
No.
I don't like the mouthfeel.
Yeah.
You'll possibly know this picture when I bring it up.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I know these guys. No.
No.
Damn, we just shut that down now.
Yeah,
No.
no.
There was going to be a next season of
What's the other?
Multiverses.
What's the other little game that just came back? The cartoon. That,
Samurai Pizza Cats.
yeah, that's the one.
Oh, I watched the first episode of that the other day.
Hell
That shit
yeah.
was
Gotta
fire.
get caught up.
Hell
Shit
yeah.
was
Gotta get caught up
crazy.
for the game.
Let's do a Two Stupid Dogs game. You know Two Stupid Dogs?
We need a cat dog game.
We need Cat Dog. Yeah, I don't know about
I fucking
Two
hate
Stupid
Cat
Dogs.
Dog. Fuck
You
Cat
hate
Dog.
Okay.
Cat Dog?
Dude, that
Don't
was
say
the
shit like
one
this.
that was always on when I was sick, and I was like, I hate this.
That's crazy.
Chad,
Why?
did I
And that's
Why
all,
did you like
that's the
it?
only thing that you have to say. What?
Yeah,
like,
I don't
why?
know. It was just like boring and old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is
All
Two
right,
Stupid
we
Dogs.
get it. You were born in
Cat
the year
dog.
1999.
Yeah,
Cat
it was just
dog.
boring.
Can I give my
Alone in the
second
world,
pitch?
little cat dog.
Yes.
Let's bring back Cat Scratch.
Not until
know?
you say cat dog's good.
Oh, I like Cat Dog. Yeah,
Thank you.
The Cat Dog like movie that they did where they went back and found their parents.
God.
Oh man,
Emotional shit, man.
Hit me in
It
the
really
heart.
was.
I was a kid. I was a kid.
Oh, I like Cat
tearing up.
Scratch. I fuck with Cat Scratch though.
Of course you did.
My next pitch. It's based off of some of Tim's comments there.
Whoa.
You
Right.
know, not liking how we're not necessarily saving WB because I was doing this for the love of the game.
Mhm.
You know what I
Damn,
mean?
I
damn,
appreciate
damn.
I was just trying to make cool video games. But you know what? I'll put my CEO hat on.
Your Cat Scratch on? Your Cat Dog hat?
You guys might have to help me out with some of the IP things here because I actually don't know how this works in terms of IP. But Dune by BioWare.
Okay.
I think Dune Awakening is happening. Dune Awakening is a great idea. However, I think a brilliant idea is to go more mainstream in AAA with Dune because Dune is the hotness right now, right?
Is it, though? It's
Yeah.
a big question.
Is it not?
I mean, the Dune movies do very well.
Yeah.
Anything else surrounding Dune so far has not.
I'm just saying,
Like
man.
what?
The show.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. but
Oh,
like-
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But
like,
like that's it. Like I don't know. Like,
like, what's that show called again?
no.
Prophecy?
No, that's is that Birds of Prophecy? Is that the sequel? Might be Prophecy.
Exactly. It's not. You got to do better. You got to market the show better. Is what
Yeah,
I'm coming
that's
down
true.
to.
The show
Um,
has to be better, too.
But I do think that Dune right now with its positioning as a blockbuster in like the movie industry, right? I think it being what it is and then it being what it is on the sci-fi side, obviously Dune was like the original sci-fi. It being back in a bigger way with the movies, I think positions it in an interesting place because I think it's a fascinating world. I think it's a cool ass world. I think there's so much you can do in that world. And I think BioWare in the way that we're talking about WB, you need wins. I think BioWare also needs a very big win. And
Sure.
I think this could be that win for them. I think mirroring them with a franchise that I think fits a AAA RPG, tell your own story, maybe be your own
Sandworm.
Lisan Al Gaib, like, or a sandworm. You can ride a sandworm, right? I think that has a lot of potential for, I guess, just being a blockbuster hit on the video game side, as far as what you're looking for out of AAA. Now, I don't know what the IP rights are really for Dune.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I know WB obviously has ownership there as far as the movie
Movie and
rights.
TV.
I mean, look
Yeah, I
into
don't know
Dune
about-
Awakening and see if they have anything to do with it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah,
Funcom
who's doing-
developing and publishing Dune Awakening.
Yeah, so I don't think Warner Brothers has a connection to that.
Yeah.
But either way,
We have the faction element of it too.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, I like that. I think my brain just goes to like talking about the CEO of it all. Right, that's gonna take 7 years, right? Like at least, and like is the next movie gonna come out and have that staying power? Is Dune gonna be in 7 years where we want it to be? I don't know. Like,
Do you, my cross-examination on this one isn't even so much from the WB side. Do you have faith in the next Mass Effect? Like, that's their hope, right? Is that they can come back with Mass Effect, make Mass Effect matter again, and do probably 2 more of those, right? For whatever the new trilogy would be.
I mean, I'm thinking of this as like coming off of Dragon Age, the Veilguard of, hey, Dragon Age obviously hit different for different people, right? But overall, I think most people would say, hey, that's a good video game, right? Like, that's a game that came out, is complete, looks beautiful, has beautiful cutscenes.
I mean, get all the way back to the beginning of our conversation about WB. Just get the fucking business out of the way.
yes.
Stop trying to make everything a live service. Stop trying to make a multiplayer.
like, they can, BioWare can get a game out the door, is what we understand now with Dragon Age and the Veilguard. I think you just need a studio that can get a AAA game out the door. And I think BioWare, I'm even thinking of this as like, sure, you can get out the next Mass Effect and then work on the next Dune, but then, yeah, we are talking about 9 years, 10 years. I'm thinking of, hey, make this partnership right now. Because right now, I don't believe the next Mass Effect's going to come out.
really?
I mean, that's an EA question.
Yeah, like, look what they've done with BioWare. Yeah. Like, right now, they're in a dire place. I think you give Mass Effect, obviously Mass Effect can do very well. It's a beloved franchise. I think if you partner them up with something that might have the potential to, I guess, put them on that place of, all right, we're back, it's new, it's fresh, it's Dune.
See, I would actually, it's new, it's fresh, it's Dune.
Dune.
I mean, I would think a better fit in my mind is CD Projekt. I mean, like, The Witcher isn't an original franchise, right? It's based off of books,
yeah.
right? Like,
So
they,
Cyberpunk.
yeah, exactly. Like, so they have like that history of taking the source material and being like, hey, we're going to really take our time and make this and expand on the source material. So yeah, I mean, I like the idea though, right? I mean, because like even Dune Awakening, right? The amount of people I've talked to that are like, oh man, the AAA like Dune game. I'm like, oh, it's an MMO. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's my thing is-
people are waiting for that AAA experience from Dune, and it's an MMO. Which sucks.
I'm excited for Dune Awakening despite it being an MMO, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot just because I think it looks cool as hell, but I'm not an MMO person, so I
Yeah.
don't expect to stay with it. If that was just a single player, hey, this can be to BioWare what The Witcher was to CD Projekt Red. That would excite the fuck out of me, right? Whether it is I'm playing as Paul Atreides or if I'm playing as a original character or whatever it is, like, that's a world that I think is worth exploring on the video game side because it's just so different than anything else we have
and it's so
setting
deep.
wise. We have so many fantasy worlds, we have so many sci-fi worlds. Dune, obviously sci-fi, but it's very specific.
Yes.
Has this very specific set of rules that I
And
fuck with.
To me, that's the thing is I don't know that a Dune game can ever be that big because of how specific and deep it is. Like, I feel like translating that to a mainstream appeal video game, like, I think that I love the pitch of it being BioWare. I just, again, going back to will this save anything? I don't know. Like, it scares me because I feel like the success of Dune is, like, the movies are fantastic, but I would say the majority of people that saw that movie, if you asked them what happened, they wouldn't have an answer.
Hey, it's me, Greg.
You
How
got
you
what I'm saying?
doing? I believe I've watched both of them. They're 2, right?
Oh, yeah,
Jen
yeah.
likes them a lot, so I
They're
sit there and
incredible.
watch it, and I'm like,
Yeah, I do feel like that's a tall order, but if they pull it off, that'd be really, really sick. And I do think, to give gamers credit, gamers now do want something more and deeper and want something that they can sink their teeth into and, like, think about as opposed to just, like, swinging a lightsaber or whatever. But more people want to swing.
I do like swing lightsabers.
I want to thump the sand. That's what I want to do.
You want to what the sand?
Thump the
it.
sand.
Oh,
Yeah, so the sandworm comes up
Gotcha.
and I ride it.
Whoa,
Ride that
Whoa.
sandworm.
Greg, what's your next one?
Yeah, these are ones that can be quick. I think what's interesting about my pitch that I should have set up at the front, but we've been conversating so well, right, is that how do you save WB games? I'm very much of the idea that it needs to die to some respect. So mine is very much DC games. Like, right, I want them to do Marvel games. I want them to become DC games, and they can still own studios or whatever, but it's the clip of me yelling at James Gunn trying to get a meeting, right? It's that idea. And so like mine is one you've heard me say a gajillion times. It's not even worth talking that much about, but it is ad hoc studio making Superman. If you've ever heard me throughout the year say Telltale should make Superman, that was back in the day before Telltale all fell apart, and then I always talk about it like Telltale without it falling apart. Ad hoc studio are so many Telltale devs that you know them from the Game Awards this year. They're working on Dispatch. They dropped that trailer. This is where Aaron Paul and Laura Bailey came out, and there was just tension you could cut with a knife. But they talked about it. They introduced it, and it being this thing of you're dispatching superheroes to go get it, right? It is a Telltale game. I do believe that an open world AAA Superman game could work. I'm clearly a minority, and also people don't like Superman as much as I do. Totally fine. Make something smaller. Make it cool. And really, I mean, double down, I think, on what Telltale did right with the Batman games they did, right? Again, I think it's one of those like Batman season 1 I thought was really good. Season 2 comes around, it's not as good, so it kind of hurts what you think of the game, in my opinion. Anyways, Batman Telltale made so many different choices and did interesting things. Like the Waynes were bad guys. People could die.
Joker.
You're not necessarily going to have that. That was all interesting and fascinating. So I've always been of the mind of do a Superman game this way, where it is kind of the end. Spoilers for you, Tim, in review Superman eventually, the movie, right? There's a missile going here and there's a missile going there, and you can only get one. Like, we have to set the reality of how powerful your Superman is. Who do you choose? One is going to kill Lois, one is going to kill Martha, or whatever the fuck it's going to be. But
Don't invoke her name.
There's a choice here that then does actually, affect Superman, and we can get into the psychology of Clark, and we can do all these things, and we can limit the power that way, right? Where it's not about, punching and unlocking a new move as much as it is about a really great Superman story and really great visuals. As this game looks gorgeous, everything you do.
So good.
Like, there's so much cool shit you could do there that takes away the idea of like, well, I can't fly to space immediately, so this game sucks. You know what I mean? Like, there's something really cool there to make a narrative Superman game this way, and it would work for Invincible. It would work for, it's an interactive comic, right? So it could work for just about anything. But as a Superman guy, who I think so many people have the wrong idea about Superman. Hopefully James Gunn turns that all around. I think this could be really fun to go out and do and have it that way.
Yeah.
Please.
No, I was just gonna come back to the idea, to the point of IP holders. You should trust smaller developers more. I think that's probably one of the main reasons this hasn't happened yet, as far as a Telltale or a studio like this working on a Superman, is that they look at Superman as too big, and they don't just want to give it to somebody who's going to make something that maybe won't have the return that they're looking for. But I think this would be something special. I think this would be something cool, and it probably would be automatically probably the best Superman game to come out if they were to put it in these hands.
Don't sleep on Superman Shadow of Apocalypse.
I'm sleeping.
That's true.
PS2 game, got to play as Clark.
I was kind of like hesitant when I read this, just because we were so oversaturated with these Telltale games for so long.
Yeah, I know,
right?
I know.
Like, but now the more I think about it, I'm like, this probably is the right time to do it, right? You know what I mean? Like, it would stand on its own, other than Dispatch over here and whatever Deck 9 does or whatever. But this could be the right moment. Could be the right moment.
I like that.
It is funny to look at, like, this is not Warner Brothers or Marvel or any of that, but just the Ninja Turtles, Nickelodeon. They're just like, hey, anyone can make a Turtles game. Any
It's
genre.
like fucking Ratatouille.
Any style.
Anyone can make a game.
It's insane. And it's like, it's funny because it's like the quality of them almost doesn't matter. Like, some of them are absolute dog shit, and some of them are like some of my favorite games of the year. Like,
They treat TMNT like it's Warhammer.
yeah, exactly.
Like, all right, let's make one.
So
Make it.
funny, but I feel like you could do that for certain levels of. I think Batman is an example of it. Like, I think Batman and Spider-Man are probably the only two superheroes that you can't overdo. Like, just put everything out, and the quality of some titles aren't going to affect the quality and sales of others.
Sure.
And I don't think that's true for any other IP.
And that's why, just to tack it on, is another one I've talked about. My last pick, and I think the one that would be it, right, of like saving it, figuring it out. We know Rocksteady's working on a game. I still would push for Batman Beyond Arkham.
That's it.
Batman Beyond, but it's still in the Arkham universe. I would completely... Oh, Suicide Squad, that was an alternate universe. Don't worry about it. Don't need to know any of that. We're picking up from the events of Arkham Knight. Well, we're not. We're jumping way ahead, right? And we're giving you Terry McGinnis, just fucking do it. Be Will Friedle. You know what I mean? Sadly, we lost Kevin, but you can bring in Roger Craig Smith to play an older Batman, right? Again, you respect Kevin Conroy's contribution to the Arkhamverse as that Batman. But here we are years later with this. If you can I know Hamill's been very clear of like he doesn't want to do Joker anymore without him. But if you're honoring it and his legacy and all that stuff, try to get Hamill back as Joker or bring in Troy as the Joker and just do Batman Beyond. Basically, you know, the return of the Joker storyline, right? And just fucking go in a game format. Let's go.
It's that simple. It's like real talk though. It's like that's how you save WB is it's Batman Beyond. Like we all know the answer. All of us agree.
Yeah.
You know, everyone listening is like, yes, that's it. They need to do it.
The one wrinkle that I had there when I wrote that pitch and then I saw you put it, so I deleted it. Nemesis system? Question mark. Would that do we see that in any of our pitches or any world where we bring that back?
I don't
or
think
we
you get
just,
too cute.
We
In
just
my
fucking
pitch
kill it.
for White Lotus, the video game.
Whoa.
No, I'm joking.
Oh.
But no, real talk though. In my pitch though,
All the people you've
this-
offended.
This kind of like goes back to what I was talking about with Bless with Dune, and I know that it's not the biggest thing ever, but Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, the fact that it hasn't had a big AAA game yet,
Monolith should have made that, by the way.
100%.
Like, what the fuck?
It's absolutely wild that didn't happen, and they keep putting out these mobile games. They did the Telltale one that wasn't that good. But the thing about Game of Thrones, like, sure, last season, debatably last couple seasons, people didn't love. People do really like House of the Dragon. It gets the viewership. People are back for that show when it comes out. The release schedule sucks because modern TV production schedules suck. But there is still some level of excitement for Game of Thrones, nowhere near the fever pitch it used to be. But what does remain is people's knowledge of the families and the locations and the different understanding of magic abilities and weapons. There's iconography, and I feel like that's the type of stuff that you can translate to a video game so easily and just tell a good story. Like that, if they just get a Game of Thrones story that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the actual canon to the books or whatever, like I add the Nemesis system to that. Like I feel like you don't need to overthink it. Make a God of War, Shadows of Mordor, Shadows of War level game with Game of Thrones. And just make it good. That's it, everyone.
No big deal.
make it
Easy
easy.
peasy.
Just
Make a
it
AAA
good.
video game good.
Easy.
Can I get my last pitch?
Yes.
Green Arrow by Arcane. Now, ideally, I would have given this to Arcane Austin, but rest in peace, Arcane Austin. Originally, I was thinking about Guerrilla for this. I'm going to read verbatim because I wrote this a week ago, so I want to get all the details right. I don't think Green Arrow actually fits the mold of PlayStation first party, which is why I'm actually not going to give it to Guerrilla. I think Green Arrow is a little bit of a deeper cut, but I think it has high potential because of the TV show, and I think there's enough people around now that do have this connection
Are
to
we
Green
getting
Arrow.
Steve and Amel back?
I mean, in my ideal Green Arrow game, I don't know.
He's busy doing Suits LA right now, Greg, so no.
But I'd be so stoked to be Green Arrow and not have to work out.
I know, right?
Not do the salmon ladder.
fucking
Salmon ladder. Let the man rest.
I do envision this as a more darker tone Green Arrow thing, like have it be more akin to the TV show as opposed to like comic book Green Arrow. I give it to Arcane because I think they could do for Green Arrow what Machine Games did for Indiana Jones, right? Make it true to form, make it as Green Arrow as possible, right? It doesn't have to be this big action game, doesn't have to be Horizon Zero Dawn or anything like that. Make a Green Arrow video game, which I think is more of an immersive stealth game where you're planning your moves, you're using different gadgets and different arrows, put it in first person like Dishonored, lock in on good level design. It could be in Star City, it can be on Leon Yu, the island, which I know from the TV show. I don't know if that's comic book accurate, but
It's canon to you.
That's all that matters, man. It's canon now because it's canon.
Yeah, it's part of my canon. But I do think in the same way that immersive sim worked really well for Indiana Jones, that's something that could work really well for Green Arrow in that style of character.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that.
I also had a pitch for Arcane or Ubisoft, and that is a Catwoman heist game. It's specifically
How
going
many
off
towers
of,
can I have?
Yeah,
I'll decide if it's a Ubisoft game.
Well, specifically because I want this to be Splinter Cell. I want this to be Splinter Cell, and there's just I've done so much research, guys. I've been trying to find something that's like Splinter Cell that's come out in the last 10 years, and it just does not exist. Like, no one makes anything that's like Splinter Cell. The closest I can think of is Dishonored and potentially Ubisoft making a remake of Splinter Cell.
Or,
right?
Bless, what was the other immersive sim game that like really, Deus Ex. Who's the Deus
Deus
Ex
Ex.
team?
Oh, yeah.
It's Montreal. Eidos
Eidos
Montreal.
Montreal.
Are they still around? They still doing things?
No. No.
Eidos?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
still
I was
around,
thinking about IO Interactive,
I thought
but
they
they're
got
doing,
closed, no?
they're
I
doing
thought
too
they
much.
got bought by whatchamacallit? Embrace Group, right? Am I crazy?
They got embraced
They got embraced.
after Guardians.
Okay.
Either way, I want
What's their new name?
Are they not? I don't know.
Either way, I want a Catwoman heist game, and this goes off of the Arkham City. Arkham City, when they had the little mini DLC for Catwoman, that's part of the Game of the Year edition, but whatever, it's technically DLC. Where it's her doing a heist thing. And I was like, fuck, this would be such an amazing game. Like if she's able to go in there and you have all of the seedy underbelly of Gotham, you have Black Mask.
That's awesome.
You have Penguin, you have Poison Ivy. Like you're able to kind of build this universe. Could it be connected to DC Studios? Maybe, but like
no.
The only thing here,
James, don't listen to him.
one more thing, the one last one that I actually have that I do think could be connected to DC Studios. I think this might be the right direction going forward. Is Lego Superman. And I stand by this just because I think that TT Games is doing too fucking much with their games. I look at the newer games that they've made and they're too complicated. You go back to the Xbox 360 era when they were or the PS2 era when they were making like 7 games in like 4 years. Like those games were so simple. They had a rinse and repeat format and they were fun and they were perfect for kids. Now they're just spending 5-6 years making a Lego Skywalker game that isn't really serving anybody. Like you should just be banging these fucking games out. Like Lego Superman should come out maybe 6 months after the release of the movie. It should tell the story of the movie and it should just be a companion piece. And here it is for kids that want to enjoy it and want to be a part of the movie that they just watched and they have on DVD now or whatever, on digital. DVD doesn't exist anymore. That is what I think TT Games should be doing, and it's so fucking frustrating because why are they making like one game a generation now? Like this should not be happening. They should be banging these games out every other year. It's crazy.
Bang these games out.
Banging these games out,
man.
bro. I'm serious.
We got a couple more super chats I want to get to.
Real quick, sorry. IDOS Montreal is now IDOS Interactive Corporation, but they've suffered so many layoffs since the buyoff and yada, yada, yada. Right now, they're just listed as their next game is supportive development for Playground on Fable. So,
Jesus Christ.
all but dead, it would sound like.
That's crazy.
Well, there was a talk
So
about them
sad.
bringing back Deus.
They were working on that. No, they were, and then that got canceled.
Yes,
and
and I was
Bracer was
very
like,
mad.
no, we don't want that.
I remember being very angry about that. I'm mad again.
Dean Brown says total lack of meaningful Game of Thrones games is a shame. Absolutely. What a fumbled bag there. Jessica Hinkle says, over here building a piece of furniture and laughing my ass off with the cartoon conversation. I agree with Roger. What the fuck even was Cat Dog?
Fuck
Oh
Cat
my
Dog,
god,
bro.
fuck
Get
off.
all,
Fuck
get out of
Cat
here.
Dog.
Dude, Cat
Well,
Dog
it's
was
like
great.
back in the
Staple.
90s, you guys were just doing anything. It's
That
like,
was
oh, it's a
fucking-
cat.
that
The
was
dog
the
gets
2000s.
together.
That was not the
It was
90s.
firmly 2000.
It was like 2003.
No
That was
shot.
alongside SpongeBob.
It
Look
might
it
have
up.
been 2004.
That shit was like 89, bro.
It
That
was
didn't exist.
Cat Dog.
Not 89, you
It was
fucking
not old as
psychopath.
fuck, bro. You were just in diapers.
It
You
had
don't remember
style. It had
Cat-
Nort
Fucking
style.
child.
Cat Dog was 1998.
Yeah, see, exactly.
No, wait, really?
Yes.
It was before I was even
It was
born.
before SpongeBob.
Roger,
Shit sucked.
I apologize.
Golden Spider says, I still don't know how a Hogwarts Legacy type of DC game hasn't happened yet. Make your own superhero, solve crimes, and eventually become part of the Justice League. and
Okay,
save
everybody,
the world.
fucking, it's called
Here we
DC
go.
Universe Online. It's been going for like 15 years.
Yeah,
Go
sorry, it's
fucking
not
play it.
a single player game, but that's literally exactly what that game is.
You play the whole first 30 levels free. Or, I mean, it's not free. Single player.
Deshaun Fortune says, I've always imagined Green Arrow as a stealth game too, Bless, but more akin to The Last of Us Part 2. But an arcane immersive sim works even better.
Jesus.
And then last one, Jay Baseball says, give me a Gotham PD game made by the Division Studio where Batman is off with the Justice League and the PD has to hold down the fort until he gets back.
No.
Like for some reason I envision the logo to that game, but it's like a mobile style like logo. Gotham
Gotham
PD.
by
City
AI.
Imposters 2.
Yeah.
Put on.
It's like one of those like ads that
Activision.
you see that's not a real video game. I guess that's what you're talking about too.
Anyways, does anyone have any final things they want to bring up here? I think we got to all of them.
Yeah, I had one that was just like, I think it's so obvious that I didn't even want to say it, but I'm going to say it. It's Justice League Doomsday, and it's basically Ultimate Alliance made by Team Ninja. Like, that is just fucking money. Like, just do that. Let's do that.
Just do that.
We talked about that for so long.
Let us know in the comments below how you would save WB games.
Remember
and
they did
fuck
that
it,
back in
WB
the
in
day.
general.
Yeah.
Are you saving them? We'll see. We'll find out shortly when everyone dies. Bless. Everyone's
Whoa.
gonna die. They're all gonna die.
They're all
I
good.
hope we don't die because we have things to do, like review Daredevil, Born Again. We're about to do that live right now on Twitch and YouTube with the Kind of Funny screencast. And after that, bless his soul will darken.
My soul will darken. I sold my soul
Till next time,
to the rock.
love you all. Goodbye.